I don't know if you can see that, but there's still a moon in the sky. And more importantly, there's a frost on the ground. Yep, it's the first frost of this winter. And you can see it's hit all the tops of those mounds. And the grass has got a good old covering. And then down here on top of the soil. So, well, we want a frost. We want a frost to kill the bugs off, and we want a frost to sweeten the parsnip. So it's not unwelcome, but it's certainly a bit chilly on the old hands. And, well, makes for a nice morning, to be honest. Certainly if you start getting some warmth from effort on the plot. Pulled together a few things there that I'm still moving from down in the compost area up to the polytunnel. But today I brought my drill over. I'm going to see if I can detach this cage. And one more look in here. I think it's Phillips head screws, which I've got to undo and release it from the base. And then I might move some of this material in here because, well, it's a wood chip and it's a bit like a compost, and I might just use it on some of my paths because there's news on the paths, I'll tell you. Well, those of you that watch Danny's YouTube channel, The Grapevine Garden, will know that this week he flagged that his local council, who have traditionally delivered wood chip to him, or at least to the plot, have decided that they're no longer going to do that. And I know a lot of you say to me, well, get in contact with your local tree surgeon or council or local authority, and you should be able to get hold of plenty of wood chip. It's just not the case around here. It's like gold dust. They have obviously transitioned from this is a material that we need to get rid of to we could actually make some money out of this. And I think they're selling it to companies that will actually bag it up and sell it to the public. So getting wood chip now is very difficult indeed, which has made me think very carefully about what I do next. And some of that flooring material in the old cage probably will come over here, but I'm thinking I'm going to go a longer period than expected, and before I get anything on top of these surfaces of membrane. So I think what I'm going to do today at some point is get the membrane well and truly fastened to the floor, and I'll do that with all these old staples, that most of which came out of the squash bed where I used to staple down the membrane over those mounds to grow the squash. So I think that's what I'm going to do some point today, just get everything secure, and then if we do get any super strong winds, then it'll remain in place. And who knows, might be there for a fair old while whilst I suss out how to get hold of wood chip. It'll take a little bit of ingenuity, I think, and a bit of asking around, see if there's just anybody who's got surplus they want to get rid of. So yeah, I think it'll be stapling down and coming to terms with walking on membrane for some time. I was looking at that membrane. I noticed that the condensation on the polytunnel is actually frozen as well. So yeah, as I've said many times, we're 1,000 feet above sea level, and frost is a frequent visitor from this time of year on to, well, even as far as April next year. So something we get used to, and I don't think these purple sprouting broccoli are going to mind at all, and they're looking mighty healthy. And I know when I put those stakes in, I said to everybody that the ones that were in the tunnel over here were not looking quite as healthy, and therefore I shored them up with some stakes. I've got to say, it's had an almost instantaneous reaction. All of them are looking that much healthier as they put all their energy into leaf growth rather than trying to keep their stems from leaning over. I'm sure that makes a big difference. And these two, which were pretty much ransacked by caterpillars, appear to be coming back nicely. Right, well, I've got my trusty drill and drill bits. I just wanted to measure this cage. It's hard to visualize over on the plot quite what space it will take. So it is about 2 meters wide. I'm guessing it's square. 2 meters wide by, no, 178, maybe 1.8 meters. So nearly 2 by 2. And that'll give me an idea of where I could put it on the plot. Right, let's just put my general purpose bit in my screwdriver, put it on reverse, and see if these come out fairly easily. Nope. So we need to match the bit well, otherwise I'll end up stripping that screw and not being able to remove it at all, and that will be a bit of a crisis. Right, I'll get on and have a go at this. Well, the result of levering and testing what was loose was that I had one corner loose. I need to get in here, I need to get in there, and I'll need to find a way of getting that screw out. So getting in here is not going to be easy. I've got months and months of stinging nettles in here. So there we are. Just going to work my way in. Well, isn't it funny how these jobs turn out to be huge? All I was going to do is whip the screws out of this cage, but not so easy. So that one's free, that one's free, that one's free, that one's got a screw that just goes round and round. We'll have to work on that one next. But I noticed I put in some mesh all the way down, and it goes down into the soil because I wanted to protect the cage from any rodents, and that of course is going to need removing before I can remove the cage. So for now I think I'm just going to clip through that and recover the wire in due course, because I certainly don't need that overlap for a fruit cage. Okay, see what I can do. Well, stop press. My neighbour Adrian came over and we had a look together, and sure enough he found a screw that was, well, really tight under one of those bars. So I'm just going to get that one out and then this should be free. And he's offered to help me lift it, so I never say no when I get a bit of help for something like this. And we've looked at the roots. It's quite difficult because the apple tree is quite close to the shed, and going around there is just as difficult between the holly tree and the apple tree. So we're thinking we're going to go up and over the squash bed and set it down over there and see what we do. Right, get this last one out, clear my net and get myself a root. There she blows. And I think I'm going to just sit it there until I work out its final destination. It'll do no harm. Let's go and have a look. Typically, doing a job like this just escalates and you get things that you needed to do get pushed up the list. So I'll have to sort out that, well, net and posts because it's absolutely laden with grass. A couple of barrels and things I cleared out of the way. Let's go around this way and have a look. Oh, and typically a whole load of stuff there and some stones and things to store. So it's like moving a house. Once you start moving things, it just seems to tumble more and more. And there we go. There's the space that was. And I couldn't understand why it wouldn't move. And of course I'd buried the wire in that edge as well. So I need to get that out. I've just clipped it below the line of the bar so that it doesn't impact on the integrity of the cage. But it will need to come out the soil. And that base I'm also going to hook out next, because I think that will make 2 really good beds. I will probably need to buy a length of timber that will go down the side of 2 new beds, so 2 full lengths, and I've got myself 2 great raised beds. Right, let's see if I can just ease this base out and see how easy it is to move. It's going to be solid because it was fresh timber, and I put the screws in pretty darn hard, so I'm pretty confident it'll roll. Right, well, let's see. I think this edge is going to be the easiest to move. I set it on some bricks, but I don't think I fixed it in any way. Yeah, it is easing up. There we go. If I get round and ease it on all the edges, I should be able to lift it fairly simply. There we go. I think this will be the key edge. Just noticed I've dropped my muffler. These are a nightmare. They go on top of my microphone. Excuse the noise. There we are. Keeps the wind noise off, although there's no wind today. Right, another go. I think I need to dig down a bit more than I am. I'll do that and bring you back. Well, I only came over to loosen those 2 screws, 4 screws, and ended up pretty much doing the whole job, which is surprising, but you've got to take these opportunities when they arise. So that's pretty hefty. I think it will roll, but I think it'll slide better. So I'm going to get my energy back, and then the plan is to slide it along these pavers off at a bit of an angle here, and then set it down in here, just so that it's in about the right place if I am going to do raised beds with it. And I'm thinking that this width would be just about right. I reckon that'll make 2 more beds this width, and I'm visualizing having a low bed that side, this one in the middle, and a low bed this side for a complete run of raised beds. But I need to leave a decent walkway along the back because I want to be able to get my barrow up and down there. So I'm going to sit down, get some energy back, think about what I'm going to do with all this stuff once I'm done. That wasn't too bad at all. Just easy does it, slowly, and we got there. And well, it just goes to show how big this is. Things are always bigger than what you think when you get them in place. A few casualties, but that's okay. I'm going to pull this over to the edge, just get some sort of idea of, there we go, of what can be achieved. So clearly way too big, but it gives you a great idea of what it would have been like to have brought the cage and the shed over here. It really would have filled this space. So as I say, I'm thinking cut this down the middle, 2 new struts, and I've got 2 raised beds. And I'm just going to get my tape and see how that would fare in terms of the whole bed. So I think within an inch or 2, this is what it's going to look like. So it's exactly 2 meters. So if I go 2 meters from the other end, it's going to leave me a space that's insufficient to get that cold frame in the middle. So I can think that through now. I know what the dimensions are like. Okay, enough physical for a while. I think now I need a bit of a clear up because I'm not good at working in a mess. So I'm going to get those stones into my storage area, my stakes into the polytunnel, and probably set this barrel up inside the cage with a stone in it so that it doesn't blow over in the wind. I'll be able to see the wood for the trees. Well, I am tired, but it is a beautiful day. So I'm just going to crack on, I think. I've got to remove these fittings on here because they're pretty rusted and they're just going to end up getting more and more difficult. Let's see. They're going to be a real problem. Different bit, I think. Let's take these off, see if they'll come off. Yep. So I'm going to clean the top off of this so that it's looking decent. And if I want to make a new cover for it, which is always an option, I'll be ready to build it without having to remove everything, and then we'll see what we do from there. Well, of course they won't come out, so I'll need a drill bit to drill the heads of those screws, and of course I don't have that with me because that wasn't part of my plan, but they'll wait. Next time I'm over with my drill, I'll bring a drill bit and get rid of those. So that's that done. Have I got enough energy to do some of those clips? I think I have. So as I say, I need to clip this down because there's going to be a shortage of wood chip, which is fine. We'll find a way around it. And I'll do this as neatly as I can because I think it's going to be here a while. I'm just going to tuck edges under, give myself a fairly tight edge to any wood borders I've got, just so that the wind doesn't get up and under it. And then there's some homemade staples here and some very old ones that I bought over the years, and I'm just going to push those in and use this sledgehammer to push them down and in the ground. No effort at all, but we'll certainly secure it. So I'm going to work my way up this one. Most of the secure areas need to be at the ends, but I will do the sides as I go along as well. And certainly at this end, I'll get plenty of these in. We just push through the membrane. In theory, they've got bent or rusted ends, which make them particularly difficult to get through the membrane. And of course I put double layers here, so it's making it doubly difficult. There we go, that's through. That one. There we go. So it's going to take me a while, this, I think. Maybe just get one of these paths done. Right, I'll bring you back when I'm done. Well, that's not going anywhere. I've left it loose at the end because I probably need to tuck some more membrane underneath, and I need to move away some of the soil. Well, it was an unplanned set of tasks today, really. I certainly didn't expect to get what I've done, but I'm pleased I have. And that sort of job, when it's bitterly cold and your hands are going numb, is not much fun, so it's good to get it done now. Well, I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you did, well, why not like and subscribe? Tick the bell if you want to get my notifications every Wednesday and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Hope you've had a good week. Hope the weather's stayed nice for you. Good times.